Income taxes may being dropped on, which would be huge, especially if you're making six figures, if you're making between 70 and 200 grand a year, that's gonna be a massive benefit. Welcome to Brand Talk with Rachel and Drew. I'm Drew, back in the saddle. What up? So, want to update y'all. It's gonna be me. I'm gonna do a solo episode with you, and I'm excited to dive into a multitude of things, but I had COVID last week, and it sucked. It was pretty gnarly. I was out here with the team, and then I just hit a wall. I had flown that morning and got super focused and, made sure I did everything I needed to do there. And then as soon as it was like 11 or 12, I don't know, but just completely got punched in the face. And then I went and laid down for like 6 days. But got a lot done at the house. I was quarantined in the room. Kids are good. Rachel's good until today. Rachel's got a fever. She had a 104-degree fever, but she was like in bed too in a hoodie, So I was like, let me get you out of bed and retest. And she has the exact same symptoms as I did, but she tested negative. So anyway, we get everything with all the kids. And she's like, you got it from jujitsu. And I'm like, I'm the only dude in the whole place that's got it. So no telling where that came from, but she's gonna be out today. And just want to go over some thoughts, behind the scenes stuff, really just help you guys understand kind of what it's like behind the curtain with production, with media, with ads, with sales, with marketing, like that whole monstrosity of the invisible part of the business. That is really the engine, and every business really needs one. But we'll talk about some news stuff. I really want to start doing some news updates, but I also don't want to sound like an idiot and make up a bunch of things for you guys. So there's definitely some stuff going down with the tariffs, with the administration asking the Supreme Court to overturn some rulings that are going on. So that thing is just always moving. And I think we're hearing a lot about the potential drop in the Fed on interest rates for homes, and we're hearing a lot about the income taxes may being dropped on, which would be huge, especially if you're making six figures, if you're making between 70 and 200 grand a year, that's gonna be a massive benefit for families and people in general, but it's not real yet, to my understanding. So that there is discussion, and I'm sure it's incredibly complex, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to do it. But if I understand the little bit that I understand, a lot of these tariff deals that we've been working out have been enabling us to be able to step back on the taxes. So, but it's all active, it's alive. So nothing is formal yet, from my understanding, but I'm watching it because it's a big deal. And as soon as we know more about how that impacts salon owners and brands, and how to think about it, and how to really take advantage of those things, we'll bring it onto the show to make sure we go over that with you guys. We've been going a lot going on over here. Rachel has been on a rampage decorating the guest house, an absolute rampage. That's her hobby. Like, that's what she's doing. So I got all these hobbies, and she's a hardcore decorator, so we were going to go paint the guest room and the floors and the walls, and it looks great. It's going to be awesome. It is exciting. I would never do that. I would be like, it's fine. The rooms is a room. It's good enough, but she'll go and design it from floor to ceiling, so it looks great. So excited about that. So when we have guests, they can, have a cool place, because it's nuts in our house. So we have a guest room, but I often feel bad for people that stay the night, like my dad stays the night, and it's just, the kids are crazy. They're young, the boys are getting better. They're 9 and 10. So they're doing their own thing, doing their football.
All right, guys, real quick. If you're a salon owner who's tired of grinding behind the chair with nothing to show for it but a sore back and an inconsistent bank account, you need to BYOB, build your own brand. This is our signature program helping salon owners all across the country launch their own private label hair extension line under your name with your profit margins and your rules.
It's not just about services. It's about creating an actual brand that can sell while you sleep. Our students are launching their own Shopify stores, wholesaling to local stylists, and finally stepping into the CEO seat without having to reinvent the wheel.
We're literally handing you the playbook: branding, fulfillment, marketing, legal, all of it. If you've got the hustle, we've got the system.
Click the link in the description below to book a discovery call with our team. Let's build a business that works for you and not the other way around.
BYOB, because doing hair should be because you want to, not because you have to.
But I mean, with building salons, like let's dive into some business stuff. Got my coffee here, and Coffee with Drew sub episode where we dive into the money moves. Marketing, right? I talk about it a lot. It's the biggest thing that people, I think, misunderstand and don't do, right? So it's going to be creating the content on it, but then people don't know what to create. So in my master classes, like I'll talk about this, and oftentimes I'm really just kind of giving people the confidence that they need. Like, hey, you're interesting, whatever your things are, like whatever your quirky things are that you like to do, like turn the camera around. You don't want to be a consumer. You want to be a creator. So what can we create today? How much media can we create? You're not going to know exactly what you're going to be going over. Like in this episode, like we're here, we're doing it. Lights are on, cameras are on, coffee's out. We're making stuff. So it might suck. It might be great. So a lot of the episodes undulate like that, so when it comes to behind the scenes, we have the salons, we have the acquisition team. When I say acquisition team, that's just kind of how I pull everything in on the front of house, the media, the marketing, the setters, people that on the discovery team taking calls. If you guys have a brand, you should be doing discovery calls as well. I can talk a bit about that. But, a discovery session is really, you're just talking to a client and they're going to be potentially distributing your product. And if they're distributing your product, you want to make sure that they're a good fit. So, you really want to run your companies like a luxury brand. I was texting my friend Dean this morning. He's my watch guy, and I really would love to get him here to discuss the history of Rolex, and not in a bougie way. I'm just interested in the company. Like how did the company begin, the history of that, and how did it start out, and how did they capture such a huge part of the market? And they really set the bar for all fine watches, and they're very cautious on who they sell their products to. Like you can't just go in there and purchase something. So luxury it's overused or misused in the salon space that I see. It sounds sexy, but really a luxury, it's the marketplace. It is high quality and difficult to come by. So we got to have those things in place to have a luxury product. It used to be that way back in the day, but it's not so much anymore, where the luxury is gone because everyone can get what you're getting, and you get commoditized. So what that means is I can get this thing over there and I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to let you know what I pick. And then you're forced to compete on price. And it's just, you don't want to do that because it's hard to make money because things cost what they cost. Bellamy costs what it costs. So your margin is going to be what it's going to be. And you can't really go above a particular zone of profitability because it is what it is, so it is what it is until it isn't. And what I mean by that is when you do something different and you create your own unique, whether you do it on your own or you work with us, and you need to have something unique in your facility. And a method isn't enough, guys. Like it's just not. A lot of people are trying to push a particular method. No one cares how you tie a knot on their head. They don't. It's not going to be a strong enough position to be the thing that blows the business up, right? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of people trying to capture on that. I get it. 100%. But it's just not enough, I think. You're not going to have people lined up at the door because of a particular method. A lot of companies try to do this too, but really, really people want, they want something that makes them feel a certain kind of way. And a method won't do that, but a brand will. A brand exists outside of you. Your services will make you a few, $100,000 a year, maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million, maybe not $2 million. We got to the 2 million plus mark through extensions. So we started facilitating this, and that's what got the location to, I think the most we did was 2.7, and we just started doing other businesses. We could have pushed it to 4, but we started doing other things, and it was less efficient to do that. So, the salons will cruise. They're like cash cows. If you can get them producing, and you don't need to get them producing to multi-millions if you don't want to. If they're producing $40K, $50K a month, you got a little cash cow. Do a couple of those, you're cruising, we took another level of jump when we started getting involved in products, and we hesitated for a long time, like years. Like we waited years before we got into the game because we didn't want to do something that everyone else is doing. And it was really important to me and Rachel that we did something special, and it had to be special enough to drive, and our angle is we help salon owners make more profit. Like we're not a hair extension company, we are their helpful distribution elves, so like when you sign with the record label, like you get distribution. When a big company like Kraft buys you up, you get distribution through Whole Foods and all these types of things, so distribution is what we do. And obviously we facilitate the production of this product as well. But that being said, the point I'm looking to make here with you guys is you got to have something that's unique. And whether you put something together on your own, like really crush hair. A lot of people are trying to do a whole lot of different things. They're trying to do, the salon is a one-stop shop, right? Where you got 20 different services happening. That ain't gonna fly because you're gonna need a full, like when we're doing discovery calls, like the podcast, everything comes in to people hopping on to have a chat with us, and we'll see if it's a fit. If it is, great. If not, all good. But all of our marketing leads to the same place. So if you have other things that you're trying to do, they're going to need their own development. They're going to need their own channel, their own marketing, their own time, their own media, their own everything. And you need to be creating 4 or 5 pieces of content per day, per thing. If you got 10 things going on in your location, like, it's going to be rough, Awkward pause for coffee. But there's, that's a huge, huge challenge that I see business owners, not just salon owners, but I mean, just it's a service-based business. So any company, you're talking to people, trade money for a product or a service, So when you're having those conversations and you have 30 different services or products, it's really difficult to gain momentum, In business, like timing and momentum are everything, everything. So if your timing is right, if you have an opportunity that lands in your lap that makes sense and you wait, that is the killer of all dreams. Risk is not the killer of dreams. Delay is. Everyone, the whole world delays, procrastination, they don't want to, but they do. They just do. So our ability to move quickly and make decisions, and it has its challenges, but big time, but we are never standing still. Like we're always 10, 20 steps ahead, but that's just this is how we operate. This is how we think. So when the team comes in and there's someone that comes in that's new and they start to see how much work that we're doing across the board, a lot of times our team is only exposed to one part of the company, and there's multiple parts of the company. But in all parts of the company, there's just so much action happening. It's like a little beehive of activity, where we're out there to make an impact for other humans, and we're in the salon space, as you guys know. But we've been offered to step over into other industries, but we're practicing what we preach. Like we're staying in our lane and doing what we do. We could do other things, but we just keep our head down and keep focused on doing what we're doing. And we want to do what we're doing better than anyone in the world. And that is an advantage. Focus is an advantage, right? So as uncool as that sounds, and just for me talking to people, there's just so many people that are so afraid to like bet on themselves, and they're so afraid to do anything. They're more comfortable doing what they know is not going to work because they're comfortable there. Like, I know I'm going to go work, and I know I'm going to make this, and I know that's not as much as I need to make, but I'm comfortable in that. I know that space, so I'm just going to stay there. And they know it's not going to facilitate the goal of their life, No one gets out of this thing alive. So whatever you want to do, whatever your goals are, like whatever you got to do to get there, like do it, go, and other doors, other levels open up, like you get to a certain level and then it's a whole other, it's a false peak, false peak meaning like if you ever climbed up a mountain. I have a story of this. I climbed a mountain out in Utah It's like a 9,000 foot peak. I think it's called Gillette's Peak, maybe. I'm climbing up there. I got there the day before, and we're climbing. I'm like sea level over here. We're in Texas. So I get up there, and we're going for about an hour. And I have to stop every so often because we're high. We're very elevated, different elevation. And I thought we were there. And he's like, it's right here. This is the top. Cool. And then we get to the top, and then I'm at the top of this peak. Like I got all my energy in to get to this peak. And then we get there, and then there's a whole other ridge to go up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, okay. So I had to wrap my head around that. There's a little bit of sorrow, a lot of disappointment, exhaustion, and then I get myself together and I go climb this other peak, and I have to stop every like 30 seconds to breathe. Like I have to stop because my heart rate's too high because I'm not getting enough oxygen because we're way up. We're like 10,000 feet up, and go up there, get to that peak, and son of a bitch, there's another ridge with another peak. So this happened like 9 times, where I was just cool. I'm not going to make it off this mountain. And I knew I was in trouble when I got there. We got there like 6:30 in the morning. And this old guy, old mountain man, he's probably like 110 pounds, super tan, overgrown. He comes running down this mountain. And then he's like, goes right by us. He's like, hey, and he's gone. I was like, what was that creature? Running. So that means he ran up and then he ran down, and he was finishing when my lazy ass was getting there at 6:30 in the morning. So that was like set the tone for the day in Utah. But these false peaks are everywhere, and it's not about getting to the peak. It's about, and you hear this all the time. It's cheesy, and I don't want to be like another like rah motivational guy, but it truly is falling in love with learning in the process and the doing and the actions that are required. It's not so much about the goal, Same thing when I did a marathon. Like I trained for it. A bit of a false peak, more of a metaphorical false peak rather than a literal false peak. And I finished it. It was very emotional. It was very amazing. And but the next day I was kind of lost because I didn't know what to do. Or we set the goal to hit a particular number of financial, accomplishment or achievement. And then you do it. And there's not like a big party when you do it. It just kind of quietly happens. You're like, oh, wow, we hit the goal. We hit the goal. And for me, like the first goal for me was to make 10K a month. I'll just tell you, like that was like my goal. I was like, I need to make 10K a month. And I was broke, and I was trying to figure out how to do it. And, I was like, I'm not going to work anywhere to get that. So I need to facilitate and create something that is that valuable. And I need to, lock in and figure this out. And that's what I was doing when I had met Rachel. I hadn't gotten to that level yet, but about 6 months after her and I got together, I hit that. And then once you do that, then scaling is pretty straightforward. Like if you have all of your numbers and your metrics in order, you just need to spend more money on marketing because you're going to get more prospects and leads, and that's going to drive. If you got the process laid out, that's how you scale. But you got to have the components, you got to have the pieces in place before you throw money at it. And that's where I was messing up before. Like I would try to figure out this ad thing, this marketing thing, and I didn't have my systems dialed in. So I couldn't take care of clients well enough on the fulfillment end. So I would get clients, but my system was broken. I had a hole in the boat, or I had a kink in the hose, So I had to fix that before we spent any more in marketing, because I just kept spending all my money and breaking the bank account, breaking my business. So that is a bit of a trap when it comes to if you're trying to grow. And what that looks like in a salon is you could be not holding a team down, or your team's not performing at the level that they should be. You're looking at utilization numbers, you're looking at average client ticket, so you got to get those tickets right. You got to get that rebooking percentage right. You got to get the utilization right. And it's not going to be all of them, y'all. Like 20% of your team is going to be the rock stars. 80% will do great. But you're going to have an A team. You're going to have an inner circle. They go above and beyond. And you're going to have the ones that kind of, they do what they're supposed to do, but they just kind of do the minimum. And that's nothing wrong with that, but they're not going to be your A player. Those people are hungry. Those people almost intimidate you, right? As an owner, because you're like, oh gosh, if this person smells like they have a scent of me not knowing what I'm doing, and they smell that, like I'm done. They're going to leave, So you have to have these opportunities for them. when it comes to like scaling your business. And you got to get these pieces created first. Get your average, I'll just tell you what they are. Get that average client ticket, get your rebooking percentage, make sure that your hiring process is sound. Like hiring is an evergreen process. It's not something that you do when you get a walkout. Like it needs to be something that's always happening, and you need to understand that process and what it is. And you're always looking at resumes. You're always having interviews, or your team is always having interviews. Don't wait to build a system when, shit hits the fan and you got clients coming in the door and you don't have a team. So you got to get in front of these things. You got to get 20 steps ahead of these things. So the amount of action is required is going to exist outside of doing the hairs, just like with me, I ran our discovery process for years. So, built a lot of what we do with Rachel. And when it comes to like receiving clients, building these mechanisms, getting this structure in place. And, but if I was on the phones all day long, my energy would be zapped and I wouldn't build the systems that needed to be built to get the thing to the next level. So you're always going to be in this spot of, okay, if I stop doing this, I'm going to make a little bit less money, but I need to go build this so this thing can, so the tide raises all ships, so to say. So this business can actually grow beyond me doing everything. So rather it's me on the discovery calls. I'm good at them. I love doing them. I love talking to people. I love helping people, and I'm genuine about it. But now I have a team, so I run a whole team that does it. I'm not on the phone anymore, right? So there's no. Because if it's just me doing that, or just Rachel doing that, then we can't be innovative and creative on the forefront of the industry, right? So you have to sacrifice again and again and again to build these systems, to put the time and the energy to create this, to launch it and hold it down. That way this thing can get to the next level, And the people that understand that and you really got to, you got to geek out. Like you really got to geek out and understand the stuff. Like you really need to understand marketing. Like you really need to understand meta and ads. Stop hiring agencies to run your ads. Fun fact, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't know. You really need to understand how to build a system. Like what is a system? Really, a system it's a document with an overview. It's got a name, title, hiring guide or hiring process. The overview is this is the process that we use to bring on new talent for said company. And then you got a checklist. You got everything in a doc that's alive with links and it's active. That would be a system or a process, if you will. And then you can even go a step further and draw it out. Like you can draw it out like a flow chart where you can see. I like to see things. So if I can see, okay, the ad comes in and then they come for me, like I do group interviews now. So I'd run an ad. They would sign up and fill out a form and submit a video and their resume. We'll go through that. And then the team will respond with invitations to my Zoom link, which is scheduled like a mini webinar, basically. And then it'll be in a few days out. And then I'll do that. And I'll conduct a group interview, see who I like. And then we will send an email response to the ones that we like for an individual solo interview. And then from there, we offer them a position if that solo goes well. But it's really like 6 steps in that, but it's specific. So you really need to understand each segment of the process that you're building for the business so that it scales, because that process is going to break and you're going to always be evolving and you're always going to be refining these systems and these processes. A company that's doing 10 million a year, their systems and the processes are going to look different than a company that's doing 500,000 a year. You really want to get these companies into the 2, 3, 4 million mark. They can do them. Salons can do them, but you got to have the product dialed. You got to have yourself dialed. You got to make sure you're playing the right game. Because if the game you're playing is, I own the salon and I'm the busiest stylist here, that won't make much long term, and you'll be very, very busy. Right? It just won't scale. There's nothing wrong with it. Not knocking you if that's what you're doing, but it's you just can't scale because time and money, you run out of time. Or okay, now you're doing it and you got some team members working alongside you, but you're still the main person. So when you step back, people say they want to step back behind the chair. You can only do that when you have a refined dialed in process on everything that builds the business, that makes the business. So you got to build it. That's the marketing, the acquisition stuff. You got the media, you got the fulfillment, you got the customer success. Like we have someone who all that they do is check on, love on clients. I have someone, all that they do is set appointments. Like that's it. Right? So you won't have a front desk person that's also setting appointments, checking out, loving on clients, and expect them to do all of those things really well. You'll have a general process, like your checkout process and things like that. But a lot of people are trying to take one person and spread their roles too wide across the company. And then you end up, the thing I was saying before, then you have a team that's too wide and not dialed in and vertical and narrow. So that is how you get these things in order so that you can make the income level jump, right? And most people are just stuck to figure it out. You got to go figure it out. You got to learn. This is what we do. We help people with these processes and these systems. You certainly don't have to utilize us, but you can figure it out on your own. And how you do that is just trial and error. Like you implement. Like if you're like, hey, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't want to get guidance on this or anything like that. All good. Nothing wrong with it. Let's go. But you'll have to you're going to spend time or money. So when you're doing that, you'll spend both. And you just go figure this out, but just be organized in what you're trying. So if you need to make an adjustment, you can make that adjustment and okay, this didn't work as well. So I'm going to make this adjustment. Now I know that I've acquired wisdom because I spent my own time and money on this. It doesn't work for me. This works a little bit better. And then you make a refinement to that process, right? So wanted to talk about that kind of all over the place, a little bit of an update on everything going on. And behind the scenes, lots of exciting things happening over here. Lots of growth in our businesses, but it's difficult. So I don't want you guys to think success like you make it and then you kick your feet up and like made it, done. It is harder now than it was when we had one location. When you have a company doing what ours is, and as it grows, it's definitely a blessing, and we pray thanks every day. But we asked for this, and when you grow, your responsibility expands. So which means your discipline has to expand to be able to uphold the new responsibility that you have. Like, you have a kid, like your responsibility expands dramatically. Before kids, like you're really just kind of relying on yourself. It's just what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just a good example of what I mean by expanding responsibility. So if you want to build a company that's doing 10 million a year, 5 million, even 1 million a year, right? 1 million's, it's hard to get to, but you got to get those systems, those processes, and you got to get really good at selling what you do. And if you're doing 20 things, you're not going to be good at selling all of it. That's why I'm always suggesting keep it vertical, keep it dialed, stay focused, stay locked in on what you're doing. If you're a salon owner, like your hair, like do hair better than everyone. Install those looks, have the brand, have the best stuff in the world, have the best marketing, have the best local ads, have the best mini events. You'll crush everyone because everyone is frozen in fear. Like, what if I make a bad event and no one comes? Who cares? No one's probably going to come. So do it. No one listened to this podcast for the first year, and we're very niche, and I think what we're doing is great. And I can see our numbers it's always growing, just steady, always growing. So what do? We lock in, we keep making new stuff. We keep connecting with you guys. I just posted, I run a lot of our production on, Rachel's page and my stuff. Our ads, I just posted on Rachel's page today what you guys want us to cover. So like if there's something that you guys want us to cover in an episode, check out Rachel's story. If you're listening to this today, it might be there, but it's probably not. You could be listening to this episode like 10 years from now, and it's definitely not going to be on the story. So, but if you see something pop up on her story, let us know what you guys want us to cover. What you like to see more behind the scenes stuff, what it is like building, an 8-figure company with 5 kids kind of thing. That's nuts. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful, and we'll see you next time.